Hello, hello, Pig City Soundoff on a Tuesday night. Thank you very much for joining us here, Kaylin. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Thomas?
Doing very well, thank you, very well. So you're a man of a lot of hats, Kaylin. You are the vocalist for Seventh String. You play the seventh string guitar in Seventh String as well. You do production, mixing. Is there anything that I'm missing there?
Uh, no, that I pretty much covers it. I
Keeps you
mean,
busy.
yeah, yeah, definitely keeps me busy.
Awesome, and you are fresh, hot off of not only releasing a new single, "Drowning in Masses," that I want to talk about with you, but also of playing the Tap House again. Great show there with the Sound Off, the Fixer. What was it like? And not the first time you played those songs, obviously, but what was it like playing them at the Tap House there on Sunday? I was going to say Saturday, but it was Sunday. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was a really really fun show. Playing a show on a Sunday evening is a little bit odd, but I think they did a really good job of like the start times, and every band was like really efficient, and I feel like we made it was a really tight show. It didn't feel like it dragged. No, it was a lot of fun.
No,
The
for sure.
Fixer, fantastic band. I had seen them
Yeah.
play.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I saw them play in Steinbach a couple years ago, and I talked to them a little bit. So it was fun to like finally actually like be on the same stage with them and play with them.
For
And
sure.
Technosis was, yeah, also just fantastic. I had never heard of them before.
Yeah.
I hadn't listened to their music prior, and I was really blown away with their set. And yeah, it was just great talking to them afterward too. Really, really nice guys, really chill, really fun to hang out with. And then of course the Sound Off, always great. Love
Yeah.
playing with them, and I've loved working with them professionally as well in their recordings. They're just, yeah, so much energy, and their music is just, it's so fun. It's just really good.
Absolutely. No, they always bring it every time. Very very contagious, very catchy vibes coming from the Sound Off. And it
Yeah,
was cool to see at the Tap House because I believe that's the first place I saw you guys play was the Tap House with Sleepless and the Bloodshots. I think maybe in February of
yes,
2023.
yes.
Yeah, it was a great show.
I remember that show. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So that was my introduction to the Seven String. I was there to see at the time the Bloodshots. I was a fan of Sleepless already, so that was my first time seeing you guys. Definitely been a fan ever since. Not your first time playing though at the Tap House with the Sound Off either. You played
No.
with them sometime that same year. I think you and maybe Ash and the Arsonist was the lineup, but that was a wicked show. I remember.
Yeah. That sounds familiar. Yeah, we played. I think we've played the Tap House with Ashley Arsonist a couple times, but yeah, I do remember that show as well. And yeah, no, I remember that first show and meeting you, and yeah, no, it was really really cool. I think you were probably one of the first people that how do I put this, the first time I had an interaction with somebody that just kind of found our music and heard of who we
Mhm.
were just naturally. And it was just a really, I don't know, you had really, really nice things to say, man. And it was really
Yeah, for
inspiring.
sure.
Seeing you at our shows since has always just been like, yeah, it's always great to see you in the crowd.
Awesome, and yeah, I'll always be there when I can be. One of my favorite bands, definitely. So I kind of
Appreciate
mentioned
that.
it already that you've been playing these new songs, but how excited are you guys that you're starting to play them regularly? You're starting to release them now. It sounds like with the new direction, kind of musically in the band. I wanted to know, yeah, how excited are you guys getting being able to finally do that? Sorry.
Really excited. Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit at the show last night that we've been feeling like this the direction that these new songs are taking is a direction we've wanted to go in, and have been, I feel like our live show has been going in that direction for like a couple years now already. So
Hmm.
it feels good to have new music out that is more aligned with kind of like what our live show has been, and kind of like the energy and the sonic
Yeah.
uh makeup, I guess, of the song. Like we've definitely gone heavier than our first EP. Um, we've definitely been playing a lot. Yeah, a lot. more of an aggressive style of playing. And I feel like even when we perform, songs off of We the Authors, they've changed so much since we
Yeah.
from when we recorded them to like how we perform them and how we play them now. It's very, very different. And yeah, I've kind of felt like, okay, our people see us live and then they listen to the record, and it doesn't quite line up to what the live show is anymore. So yeah, I know it's good
Yeah.
to have the new music out because it's kind of the direction we've been wanting to go in and are going in. And we've been sitting on this song in particular for a long time already. We've been working on this
Yeah.
album and working on this song, and we had the music video filmed for this song a long time ago. So it's good to kind of finally, okay, now the ball's rolling. We've got stuff released,
Mhm.
and yeah, we don't have to. Yeah, we're not in the waiting stage anymore. We're actually in the release stage, so it feels really
For
good.
sure. Absolutely, and it's translating well on stage. It's translating in the single you released as well. So, I agree with you there. It sounds to me like the reason things change, I don't want to say so drastically, but the reason things are evolving or changing is just we are the authors. A lot of those songs were kind of written before you were fully formed as a band, or at least the lineup you have now. And it just seems like as you're playing those songs, like you said, you're playing them differently, whether it's heavier or throwing in more screaming into it, or however you want to put it. And it kind of just evolved that way, is what it sounds like if I'm on the right track.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like a majority of those songs, I actually every song on that album minus "Fight the Flesh" was written when the band was pretty much just me and Sam. Uh, in particular, the Machines and Burn My
Hmm.
Mind. The very very first iterations of those songs were probably written back when me and Sam were still like in grade 10, and we would just jam
Okay,
in
wow.
yeah, like when we would just jam in the school auditorium whenever choir class wasn't taking place. We would sneak in there, and he would jump on the drum kit, and I would borrow some
Mhm.
one of the senior students' amps and just plug my guitar into it, and we would just like jam and just come up with songs. And yeah, like obviously by the time we actually went to record them, they had changed and evolved. But the very first iterations of those songs, yeah, were really old. And then yeah, We the Authors, Hey You, and Set Me Free, Fight the Flesh. Those were kind of written shortly after we graduated, but still very much just me and Sam, and we weren't really playing. We hadn't really started playing live shows by that point. Eh,
Mhm.
we had performed for our high school talent show, and that was pretty much it. So most of those songs were written, and the recording process kind of took place when we really only had like maybe one or two shows under our belt and a very different lineup of players. And
Okay, yeah.
obviously, as a band, we've evolved a lot since then. We've seen members come and
Mhm.
go. We've added some new members, and now most recently, we've had current members in the band kind of switch roles and are kind of doing different things. And it's taken on a really different yeah, just a really different shape from what it used to be. And even I feel like we've just gotten so much better now as musicians. I know for myself personally, uh,
Mhm.
I feel like I've grown so much as a guitarist, as a vocalist in the last 3 or 4 years now that we've been playing shows consistently. And it kind of feels to me like what I'm able to do now on guitar and vocally is what I've been wanting to do for like years now. But at the time, I just didn't have the skills or the capability to do it. So
Mhm.
for me, when I look back on our first album, We the Authors, it's it's a product of its time, but at the same time, it's also what gave us kind of our start, and we poured our heart and our soul into it at the time, and it was the best we could have made at that point in time when we made it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's very easy as an artist to sometimes look back at your first works and be like, oh man, it could be so much better, or I wish it was different, and it's
Yeah.
hard to
Definitely.
yeah to listen to it and not kind of feel like it doesn't represent you anymore. But I like to look at it as that's the best product that we could have made at the time. and I'm
Yeah,
still,
it represented you at one time, right? So yeah.
yeah, well, exactly, and
Yeah,
I'm still very proud of that album, and there's a lot of songs off
you
that
should
album
be.
that I still love, and there's a reason why uh, we still play a lot of those songs, even though our set list has changed quite a bit now. Because
Mhm.
yeah, I still think at the heart they're good songs, but it's
Absolutely.
it's something that I have heard from a couple people though that uh, have maybe for the first time seeing us live, and then they go to listen to the record, and then it's very very different. So I'm glad that
That's a different experience. I can understand that. Yeah,
yeah, it's a very different experience, and
it is
for me personally, I think I can hear how much how inexperienced and how young I guess I was when we recorded that. So it's cool to have music out again that feels like it's more current of like this is currently where we're
for
at.
sure.
This is currently our skill set and kind of like what we sound like and what we want to sound like.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of bands, or I've even heard a lot of people who are in bands say, if they could throw out their first album, they definitely would. But I mean, I appreciate having that stuff out. And like you said, it's a product of its time. You see the evolution of the band and where it's going. I personally really love that album. It's one of my favorites.
One, and I think, and that's another reason why I it's tough because
Mhm.
getting compliments from people and having people like that album and just enjoy kind of yeah what it is and as an artist you can feel like okay I'm beyond this now, but to the people listening to it like it's still good and it still means something and there's a lot of people that
For
still
sure.
like it. So it's one of those things where like yeah I never want to, or in my head I always try to keep that in mind of like it yeah, that's the beauty of music is everyone's gonna
For
get
sure.
something out of it that's different. And even if you wrote the song and had a certain idea in mind, somebody could listen to it and get a completely different message out of it. And that's like super cool.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with having two versions of the song out either. I mean, look how different Set Me Free is, the way you play it live now from the recording. It doesn't mean that the original needs to be erased, but
No, totally.
but
And
definitely songs like that, it's good to have more than one version out, I would say. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and I would never want to kind of like undo or kind of replace an older version of
Yeah,
a song. As tempting as it is to want to like completely just be like, okay, don't listen to that one anymore, listen to the new one. No, I anybody that still listens to that old album, even once our new music comes out, because there's a good chance that there might be some people that really vibe with the old EP and our new album being in I still feel like it's still very much us, like at the core of it
no,
of
for sure.
the sound hasn't really changed, but it is a bit heavier, and I could totally understand that there might be some people that maybe don't vibe with that as much and be like, oh, I prefer the EP instead. And you know what? That's great and that's awesome. And I would never want to kind of like be like, oh, that's garbage now. No, it's like it it's still something we made, and we're still very proud
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, absolutely, as you should be. And I do want to talk about some of your new songs in a moment as well. But just very briefly, I did want to talk about "Wasted on You" as well, which might be one of my favorite songs that you have between that and "Fight the Flesh," probably. When did
Awesome.
you release "Wasted on You" again? I apologize, I do forget that one.
Oh, no worries.
It wasn't that long after, right?
No, I think if I remember correctly, we put out "Wasted on You" in I want to say it was February of last year. I want to say it
Okay.
was like 2024 that we put that song out. Yeah, because We the Authors came out in 2022, and
Yeah.
then we put out "Wasted on You." Uh, yeah, in 2024. Which, funny enough, that was a song that was originally going to be on this next album because
Okay. I
we've
was going to ask that.
yeah we technically speaking this new album the writing process started in like 2023. If I go back on my
Hmm.
phone and look at some of the early demos, I've got lyrics and demos that date back to yeah as early as 2023 for a lot of these new songs of when we started writing them. But yeah that Wasted on You was originally going to be on the album, but as it was kind of the album was kind of formulating and the songs were kind of coming together and we were starting to list everything out, we realized that we felt like it really just didn't fit the vibe anymore. It kind of felt like its own thing that it was it's like an evolution off of what We the Authors was, but it
Yeah.
wasn't quite at the same vibe that the album was going to be. So we decided, you know what,
It is
that's
kind of a perfect bridge between them, I think. That's why I was going to ask
yeah,
you when it was written closer to one or the other, because it's kind of a perfect bridge between the two albums.
yeah, and you know what, that is exactly what we felt at the time was that
Mm.
this song kind of perfectly. Sorry, I'm just trying to plug in my phone here so that it doesn't die on me. That
Yeah, no, no worries.
that song is kind of like the perfect bridge into from the old album sound into the new album
Yeah,
sound. And yeah, we kind of thought that was like a perfect kind of gateway song, kind of represents like, because yeah, there wasn't really a lot of screaming on that first record. Um, and then Wasted on You, it still got a little bit more of the kind of grungy kind of rock and roll thing that was, what we were doing at the time. But then we started adding in the screams, a little bit of the heavier side of what we want to do with our music. And
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, that too. Another one of those songs where it's like we actually yesterday at the Tap House was the first time that we played it. I feel like in a couple shows, and yeah, I was also just realized I'm like, man, we haven't played "Wasted on You" in a long time, and that's a good song. We need to play that one more.
yeah. I know it's a really good song for sure. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So, what is coming up for you guys? Obviously, Drowning in Masses came out October 17th. Amazing song. Like I said, heard it again on Sunday live, even better live, I would say. What kind of stuff do you have coming up? Are there more singles coming up? Is there an album coming up?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of stuff in the works at the moment. It's been kind of like this whole year, pretty much, has been production of this album that we're working on, and we had we had a lot planned for this album. It was going to be a lot bigger. I think originally we had 14 songs, and we ended up trimming it down to what on the final album will end up being 8 songs plus an intro and an outro track. So that's yeah, a little sneak peek at what we got coming up. New album,
Nice.
and we have a couple more singles planned that will that'll start rolling out in the coming months. We've got it all planned out. Everything is finished. Now it's just a matter of setting the release times and scheduling it out. It's been a lot of work. It
Yeah.
definitely was a huge jump up from an EP where we only had 6 songs. Uh,
And a lot of them you
and
had written already too, or at least a lot of the like a beginning of them, the beginning stages.
exactly, yeah, we pretty much
Yeah.
just have to go into the studio and record them. Whereas with this one, this has been a little bit more of a writing slash production kind of happening at the same time. And then having members kind of join and now switch roles, that all happened mid production of this album. So there's a it's interesting to see how even like where we were at and mentally where we were at and kind of the plans we had for the album when we started production about a year ago compared to where we're
Yeah.
at now has changed so much, like the direction. But I feel like
Yeah.
it's definitely been for the better. And it was almost as if the what this album was going to be kind of slowly made itself clear as we got closer to finishing it, and the things just everything kind of just started to fall into place. And for me, being very much somebody that takes a lot of like puts a lot of effort into not just the music but also kind of like the imagery and the overall kind of story of the album,
Yeah. Definitely.
it became very clear to me at the end what the story of this album is and kind of the message we want to tell. And I think for a lot of us too, over this last couple of years, has been a lot of us have, as individual members, gone through a lot of changes, even in our personal lives, and kind of
For
discovered
sure.
ourselves more. And I don't know, just becoming more aware of kind of like who we are as people. And that really, I
Yeah.
think, has been baked into this album now. And it's not technically a concept album in the traditional sense, but it definitely there definitely is an overarching story that is being told, and a theme that kind of like a an imagery motif that we're going to be rolling with. Uh, a lot of the songs,
Yeah.
a lot of the songs have centered around a water imagery, and at first uh, I was a little bit trying to avoid that because I know that especially within metalcore and a lot of metal bands like water and oceans and stuff like that is
Yeah, waves.
waves. It's used a lot, but
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
It really just started to just make sense to me when we were writing the album. That I'm like, you know what? As cliche as it maybe is, this is this is the metaphor that's working, and this is the metaphor that I think will get the message across the way we want it to. So
Yeah.
we've been rolling with. So Drowning in Masses, kind of a sneak peek at what the overarching story of this album is going to be.
Yeah, and definitely, I'm excited to see what's going to come of it for sure. So before, just kind of going off of what you just said, so beforehand there was only a couple of you involved, obviously, especially when you were in school in the early days, involved in the creative side, the production side. What has that been like? Obviously, you do production, you do mixing also as your career, and that's something where you're working with lots of people, lots of different bands. In that case, even different genres and stuff like that. But what's it been like with your own band now, kind of having so much different or so many different people now who can give creative input rather than just one or two of you bouncing ideas off each other? Especially like you said, when they came right halfway through the work on this album.
Yeah, no, it's been a huge shift because I would definitely say that kind of our the way things went up till this point was I've historically in the career of this band have been the main songwriter. Uh, and kind of usually what our workflow was is we would usually come up with ideas at jam sessions, and then I would take those ideas and I would flesh them out at home and kind of just add the lyrics, kind of put them all together, and then I would kind of take those ideas, bring them back to the band, and then each member, at the time, uh, we had Jaden on bass, Ryan was still on guitar, and
Yes.
then Sam on drums, of course. Then everyone would kind of just learn their parts slash their own little flair to what I had come up with. Um, but since Gavin joined the band and he joined kind of like in the middle of this album cycle, and when he joined, he was on bass. Uh, he kind of added a lot of flair and interesting elements to the bass parts that I wouldn't have thought of, and kind of I think has made this album a lot more interesting on bass. Um, Nothing against our old bass player, but really our workflow at that time was I kind of wrote things and then people learned those parts. And
Yeah.
being a guitarist and even just my songwriting abilities at the time, often the bass lines would end up just kind of mimicking what the guitars were doing, but obviously just in the lower register and kind of just doing what they needed to do. And when Gavin joined, he brought kind of like kind of elevated that part in the music by adding some
Yeah,
interesting
definitely.
sections and kind of doing something different that I wouldn't have thought of. Um, and then
Yeah, I
and
definitely would say
then
he was a missing piece in that band or in your band, sorry, because as soon as
yeah,
he joined, I think I mentioned to you several times, as soon as he joined, it clicked right away,
oh
whether
yeah,
it's through the music or stage presence, the whole thing. Just, yeah, very good addition to the band.
I 100% agree, and even more so now that because kind of like about halfway through this album cycle, and when we were well, the pre-production of this album cycle,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and with having Gavin on bass, and then Ryan was still on guitar. A lot of the times at our jam sessions, what would end up happening is uh, Gavin would pick up Ryan's guitar and just start kind of jamming some ideas on guitar, and I would jam along with him, and we would end up kind of like writing these really cool parts, and then Ryan would pick up the mic and just start screaming, And
Yeah.
we kind of realized, I'm like, okay, Ryan had shared a sentiment to me that he was like, he wanted to do a lot more vocals and be a lot more part of the vocal side of the band. And Gavin, obviously, being a guitarist first, kind of that's his main uh, kind of what he would call himself. He joined on bass,
Yeah.
kind of, we needed to fill that part, but he would consider himself a guitarist first. It just really started to click, and me and Gavin on guitar, like jamming together. Our play styles are very similar, and kind of the way we write riffs are similar, but similar in a way that when we write riffs together, it makes sense, but it's also different, and it's very complimenting of each other. So that just really
Definitely.
seemed to work. And also, I think a lot of our inspirations and kind of where we draw inspiration from very much aligned. We're both, well, actually, funny enough, I kind of got him into Trivium after he joined the band, and he kind of got me into
Okay.
the era when he joined. So we kind of crossed influences, and that kind of has shaped the way we play now a little bit. So definitely
Yeah,
that has kind of played a huge part in this album, and will definitely continue to play a part on future songs and upcoming stuff.
for
Uh,
sure.
so I feel like I got a little sidetracked from what your original question was, but
No, no,
definitely,
you nailed it.
yeah, definitely it has played a huge factor, and I think that this current lineup we have now, minus the fact that we don't have a full time bass player yet. I think
Right.
this is the lineup that we've uh we've been needing, and I think is yeah, I think this is it. I feel very very
Absolutely.
passionate about this lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's working out well. And I mean, after your first album, it can obviously be kind of a bold move to change, go in kind of a different direction. But it sounds like it's what needed to happen, and it's just meshing well. It's just working out really well. I did want to ask you at least one random question. What do you think, whether it's in Winnipeg or not, what do you think would be one of the loudest shows that you've played, if you had to say? Maybe the loudest venue, if that makes more sense. But what do you think would be one of the louder shows you can remember?
It's a good question. Well, I think something that we a sentiment that we often feel is the tap house. Is a loud venue.
Yeah, the sound,
Um,
especially when the doors aren't open, the sound is good, loud in there for sure.
yeah, it's loud and it's fun. I think that's probably a contender. Because I'd say that there are other venues we played that are loud, but there's just something there's just a loud quality to like the tap house just being the kind of room
Yeah,
it
for
is,
sure.
and the sound system there. I'd probably say probably the tap house. Um,
Yeah, that would be a good answer. The other
yeah.
one for me would have been you played a show at the Royal Albert with Spectre,
Oh
and I can't
yes.
remember if the third band was Unsilenced or somebody else. I can't remember
Yeah.
who the third band was, but with Spectre. And I remember right when you guys got started, I was just like, whoa! I did not expect that much noise, especially or sound, I should say. Especially, I guess it's just because it's such a smaller, kind of more compact venue. It just bounces around. But yeah, that was a loud one.
Yeah, that was loud, and that was back when I was still running a tube amp rig, which I've since switched to just out of pure laziness. That yeah, that was loud, and
Yeah,
I think that was the only time we've played that venue, and I think the sheer volume and loudness of that venue was kind of a bit of a deterrent for us from wanting to play it again afterward, because I think we all kind of agreed afterward that we felt like it was just the kind of music we were playing. Like I guess just loud,
no, for
big
sure.
loud amps, heavy metal. Like it really, yeah, it kind of wasn't doing our songs justice. It was just too loud. You couldn't really hear what's going on.
It was really loud.
Yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed the show, but you're not wrong. It was crazy, crazy loud that night for whatever reason. Yeah, for sure. Well, it sounds like you guys are getting a good reception for the most part, from what I'm hearing on the new album, the new kind of direction things are going. The
yeah,
revamp songs, especially, like I said earlier, I think that's a really bold thing to do to to take a song you released only a couple of years ago and make a new version of it or revamp it or whatever you're doing with the live shows. So I definitely would say things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I was definitely worried about that a little bit when we started working on these new songs. That it kind of felt like I was maybe worried that we had garnered an audience of a specific genre that now that we're kind
Yeah,
of
I can see that.
hitting, maybe we were going to lose some people, or maybe some people weren't going to like it as much. But no, it seems like yeah, it's been a really good reception and response so far, and yeah, and no, it's been great. I can't complain,
For
and
sure.
yeah, honestly, it's always just so cool because when you put out something new, especially something that's a little bit different, you never know how well it's going to do. And so far, it's been going really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it might be one of your best songs yet for sure. Do we
Oh, thank
know?
you.
I think I asked you this already, but do we know when the next single's coming out, or we don't have an idea of that yet?
We do. Yep, we do. And I was kind
Okay,
of thinking this would be the perfect place to, maybe, yeah, drop that for anybody listening. But yeah,
for sure.
our next single will be coming out in January of next year. The date is still
Perfect.
TBD. Um, although I kind of feel like for a band of our level, picking like having an exact date or the date really doesn't seem to matter a whole lot at that point.
No,
It's
no,
more so
definitely.
just about honestly for us, it's more so just finding a day where we're like, okay, you know what, we're free and available. We know we're going to be able to push it.
Yeah. No,
But
definitely.
yeah, we would have we've been we're aiming for kind of a single every other month until the album comes out. However, we decided that we were going to skip over December just because
Yeah,
we're all busy with Christmas and everyone is
for
busy with
sure.
Christmas. And the
For
new
sure.
single we're about to
Let's.
put out would not be very Christmassy. So we kind of figured, you know
That's
what?
fair.
It
That's fair.
actually, the theme of the next single and kind of the lyrics bode very well with a January type setting. So I think that'll work out nicely.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. And you kind of let Johnny and Masses breathe a bit. It's let that kind of have its own time as well. So no, that sounds good. Awesome.
And
Well, I wanted to thank you very much for joining me. Is there anything else you wanted to say to any of the Seven String fans out there before we wrap up? Sorry.
uh, honestly, just want to say thank you to everybody for listening to the new song and just giving us support coming to the shows. It's it's honestly just it's a huge blessing to look back on kind of where we started and where we are now, and just to see, even if it hasn't been like it, a ton of growth in terms of just like becoming a bigger band and breaking out of the local scene. We've had a lot of like really genuine interactions with our music and genuine interactions with people at shows, and to me that's what it's all about. That's why we're doing it. So
Definitely.
yeah, just to everyone who's been supporting us up to this point and still listens to our music, it's incredible because you know you're just putting it out there and you have no idea what it's going to do, and you're not asking people to follow along or forcing people to listen to it or to follow you. So when people just
Yeah.
naturally do, it's no, it's cool. It's good to see.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing more in the future. Do want to apologize for the lighting on my camera as well. I'm in a very bright room. I couldn't really do a lot about that. Sorry, everyone. But
No
thanks for
worries. I
joining
mean,
me. It was great talking to you.
yeah, no, absolutely, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks. Take care, everyone.